Magnusites. I gotta do a reaction to one of my favorite YouTubers out there today. The Critical Drinker. I love this guy. You know how when movies come out and I rush to Jeremy Jahns and Stuckman and the Real Rejects, you know what I mean? The three of my favorites right there. He's right there with them. I gotta make sure because I know his review is going to be absolutely hilarious. So let's check out and see what he has to say about Love and Thunder. Thor Love and Thunder, redemption or destruction.
The times they are a-changing, dear viewer. Out of the original team of Avengers that first joined forces to save the world a decade ago, Iron Man and Black Widow are dead, Captain America's become a Joe Biden lookalike, Hawkeye's an aging and partially deaf mentor with a younger replacement waiting in the wings, and as for Hulk, fuck knows what's going on with him. Like, is he still Professor Hulk, or has he turned back into Bruce Banner now? Is there anyone who even cares at this point? Either way, the only Avenger that's still more or less intact is Thor, the Thunder God, the Prince of Asgard, the mightiest Avenger of all, the fat guy who plays video games in his bathrobe and cries and suffers panic attacks.
Pathetic.
I think it's fair to say that old Thor's had a bit of a rough ride over the years. His first two solo movies were dry, stodgy affairs with forgettable antagonists that didn't seem to know what to do with their main character, while Captain America quickly rose to prominence as the new cool kid on the block, and Iron Man somehow managed to stay awesome despite a series of disappointing sequels. Thor remains stuck in the mire, unable to find a winning formula. Then along came a guy from New Zealand named Taika, who successfully turned things around with Thor Ragnarok, injecting some much-needed humour, energy and creativity into a stale series and setting the stage for him to fulfill his destiny and become the ruler of Asgard. Or what was left of it anyway. Now he's back with Thor, Love and Thunder, which could realistically be Chris Hemsworth's last appearance as the character, considering he's been doing this shit for more than 10 years now. And since the first trailer dropped last week, and I haven't had a chance to make a proper video about it, I figured now would be a good time to offer up a few thoughts, or as I like to call them, concerns. So the trailer opens up in much the same way as Thor Ragnarok. Classic rock song playing in the background? Check. I mean, going from Led Zeppelin to Guns N' Roses feels like a bit of a downgrade, but whatever. I do wonder if Sweet Child of Mine could be a bit of a hint about something. Could it be trying to tell us who the real focal point of this story is going to be?
Still does not look like her to me in that.
Stage for Thor's current situation? Check. And hey, at least they've gotten rid of Fat Thor from Endgame. Thank fuck. Monologue from the man himself? Check. This brings me neatly along to concern number one. Thor himself. The basic gist of the story is that Thor's decided he's had enough of war and battle and turned his back on his former life to go on the greatest adventure of all, the journey of self-discovery.
You'll get up and leaving.
Aren't you like 1,000 years old at this point?
I know.
If you haven't managed to figure this
Just
shit
thought
out
of that.
now, then the chances are you're probably never going to. I mean, I know that every film has to take the character in a new direction instead of just recycling the same ideas over and over again, but do you really think this is the way he ought to go, considering everything he's been through up to this point? I mean, if you piece together his previous movies, there was a definite arc to his character. He was growing and maturing as a person, developing the skills and personality traits needed to live up to his legacy and become the ruler of Asgard. Whether it was learning the importance of humility and self-sacrifice, or the responsibility of leadership, or realizing that he didn't need a fucking magical hammer to be powerful, Thor's journey was all about making him a stronger, more capable and mature person, preparing him for the bigger challenges that lay ahead. Now it kind of feels like all that development and progress has been flushed down the shitter, so we can press the reset button and turn him into what the script needs him to be, instead of what he actually is now. Instead of learning responsibility, wisdom and resilience, now he's all about giving that stuff up so that he can focus on himself. First he gives up rulership of Asgard and puts it in the hands of some random drunk woman that he barely knows so that he can go joyriding across the galaxy with Star-Lord. Then he gives up that tattoo because apparently it's too hard or something, and now he's even given up his weapons and title. He seems to be regressing instead of developing, surrendering everything that wants to find him as a person. And I don't know, man, it all just feels kind of forced and artificial. There's a time for characters to question and doubt who they are and what they're supposed to do with their life, but 10 years and 4 movies down the road isn't it. We already know who Thor is, and so should he. Oh, and speaking of retconning Thor's character, I'm sure you all caught this meaningful little look between him and Star-Lord. I wonder what that could be hinting at. Concern number 2, Valkyrie. I'm gonna be honest here, Valkyrie was one of the most insufferable elements of Thor Ragnarok. Basically, every scene she was in had me fucking grinding my teeth, partly because the character treats Thor like a piece of shit and always seems to have the upper hand on him, partly because she never has to answer for the enormous fuck-ups of her past, and partly because of Tessa Thompson's intolerably smug performance. What's your favourite expression? Smug condescension, smug reflection, or smug boredom? I kinda hoped she would have been a one-and-done kind of character, but nah, here she is again, returning as King Valkyrie, the ruler of New Asgard. I'm not exactly sure how you can be a king when you're not even a man, but sure, whatever. Royal titles are flexible, I guess, just like Tatiana. And once again, she's showcasing her amazing acting range. It almost makes you wonder how she landed a high-profile role like this. Concern number 3, Lady Thor. Remember Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman? Remember how she walked away from the MCU after Thor 2 so that she could focus on other roles? Well, she's back now, and I'm sure it had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that she's 40 years old and hasn't starred in a high-profile film since 2016. This time she's back as Lady Thor, mirroring the failed comic book run where a cancer-stricken Jane Foster takes up the mantle of Thor and uses his hammer even better than he was able to. Because, you know, of course she does. Wait, didn't Mjolnir get destroyed in Thor Ragnarok and then Cap returned a past version to its own timeline at the end of Endgame? Nah, never mind. Now, I have to admit, this storyline could actually have a bit of potential if they have the balls to see it through to its logical conclusion. Like if Jane is severely ill and is forced to give up the possibility of life-saving treatment to take up the hammer and help out Thor at a critical moment, basically sacrificing her life to help the man she loves and going out in a spectacular blaze of glory. And perhaps even helping Thor to realise that he can't just turn his back on the rest of the world because he feels like it, that he has responsibilities far bigger and more important than his own selfish impulses. That would be a pretty good redemption and send-off for a character. But ask yourself the question, dear viewer, do you really think they're going to do that? Or are they going to bring in female Thor as an all-conquering badass that's consistently better and more powerful than actual Thor in pretty much every way, ultimately causing him to realise that she's more worthy of the title than he is, and willingly stepping aside so that she can take over? And perhaps even being connected to King Valkyrie, looking for a queen to sit on the throne with her. You know, I love how royal titles, legendary artifacts, and even godlike status can change hands in this universe more easily than the used porn magazines in my old high school. The problem is that the more this kind of thing happens, well, the more contrived and cheap it all starts to feel. And let's be honest here, it's becoming a bit of a habit for Marvel. Already we've got discount Captain America, discount Black Widow, discount Loki, and discount Hawkeye, and that's not even mentioning discount Hulk, discount Iron Man, and
that's the picture of her?
Marvel.
I actually like that picture of her.
Jesus, I never thought I'd hold up Captain Marvel as a superior version of a derivative replacement, but there you go. That's Clown World for you. Taking the costume, weapons, and name for one character and grafting it onto another doesn't bring with it all the emotional investment that's been built up over the years. And I guess that's my real issue with Jane Foster here. If she's got the armour, the hammer, and the powers of Thor, then what is she except for a cheap, superficial copy of the original, but with boobs? Also, I know this is a bit of a random aside, but you're never going to convince me that those are Natalie Portman's real arms. Yeah, I've seen the set pictures where she looks marginally bigger than she did a couple of years ago, where she could barely even lift the plastic prop hammer and looked like a stiff breeze would blow her over, but there's no fucking way that she got this jacked in real life. I suspect what really happened is that she had a bit of help from the wonderful men and women in the CGI department at Marvel. Yeah. The funny thing is, I actually consider myself a fan of Taika Waititi's work, if not the man
himself. It's a mixture of a stunt double and her,
for the Wilder People were both fantastic movies that showcased his ability to take a serious, poignant central storyline and wrap it up in a veneer of quirky, light-hearted comedy. But this kind of thing is a fine balancing act, and Thor Ragnarok went too far in the wrong direction for me. You don't have to make literally everything into a fucking joke. You're allowed some genuinely serious moments from time to time.
True.
But since it made a shit ton of money, there's no reason to expect that they'll correct the balance here.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I can't lie.
A triumphant send-off for two characters that have been around since the earliest days of the MCU. But I can't shake the feeling that Love and Thunder is just going to end up as a slicker, better-made example of the same shit they tried to pull with Black Widow, swapping out an aging and expensive protagonist and replacing him with a newer and more diverse copy. A male hero doing what male heroes do best these days, stepping aside and making way for someone more deserving but less interesting, with a healthy dose of the message dumped in for good measure. I hope I'm wrong on this one, because if anyone deserves a bit of redemption, it's Thor. But let's be honest, I'm not going to hold my fucking breath. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Great video as usual, drinker. Make sure y'all go over there and subscribe and tell him Tyrone Magnus sent you. He's expressing the concerns of a ton of the fandom. Like I said in my reaction to the first teaser trailer, where I did not call the trailer woke, and I did not call the movie woke. I said that I hope that it's not woke. So those are where his hopes are. That it's not. Because we all know these days it feels forced as hell and not organic whatsoever. So hopefully it'll be a badass hit. It'll be like Spider-Man, No Way Home. It'll be like The Batman. Both of them weren't woke. Big hits. Let's get it. Let's stay the course, baby. We're all cool with diversity. It's just when it's forced and unorganic, it's like, remember in Captain Marvel, "Hey, honey, why don't you say hello?" Whatever the guy said, I was just like, oh my God, this is so forced. "Hey, baby, gonna say hello?" I forgot. I only saw the movie one time, so I'm just going from my memory. "Hey, baby, come and sit on my lap." It was something like that. So I was like, okay, male chauvinist pig. Okay, I get it. I know where you're going with this. It's like a, ow! Get it? Sore thumb. Ow. I'm funny. Okay. Post comments down below. Let me know what you all thought. If you enjoyed my reaction, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. 10 million subscribers. Woo!